we have to still be mindful of climate control, right?
We have to be. There are also certain things that we can do to manage climate control. Don't switch on an AC when you don't have to. Don't use a shower. Rather take a bucket and put water on your body. These are little things that you can to save Mother Nature. I've got one farmer friend of mine. I talk to him about various schemes. साहब मैंने ये कर दिया, मैंने किसान क्रेडिट से पैसा ले लिया, मैंने एग्रीकल्चर सब्सिडी ले ली. ये सब तो छोड़ो, मेरे पास एक पोर्टफोलियो है शेयर्स का. आप उसको देख के मुझे बताइए उसमें क्या अच्छा है क्या बुरा.
Do you see a future where traditional employment is completely disrupted?
I think anybody who adapts themselves to the situation will find themselves in employment. Those who do not will have to do other things.
Is there any personal experience you've had on the ground which you would love to share?
Oh yes.
Hello and welcome to Between Us. Make every conversation count. And today on this micro podcast episode, I am in conversation with Mr. Aditya Sesh, a visionary leader, a speaker, and an entrepreneur. I often call him the Renaissance man, and you will get to know when as this conversation builds up. He's got experiences, decades of them, in business strategy, global trade, agriculture, and our cultural insights. I'm looking forward to this conversation, and I think all of us are going to take away one very important thing, and that is to keep believing in ourselves, keep believing in our neighbors, in our community, and build a truly Atmanirbhar Bharat. Shesh, thank you for coming on the show.
My pleasure, and my congratulations and thanks for you and to your listeners who will listen to us as we speak. And I'm hopeful that they will understand where I am coming from.
Absolutely. So let's dive straight into the conversation.
Yes, we shall.
I really want to start talking about global trade and tariffs. And that has been one of your key focus areas. So with the shifting geopolitical landscape, what are the major trends which businesses should be prepared for?
I think the trend is Atmanirbhar. Everywhere across the world. I think long ago, Modi ji said Atmanirbhar. Many organizations like Swadeshi Jagran Manch have talked about Atmanirbhar. Mahatma Gandhi talked about Atmanirbhar in a different way when he talked about self-sufficiency of villages and trade within the village. And therefore, this applies to all. What has happened is over the period of time, because of global supply chains and efficiencies, mainly because of labor, a lot of work was outsourced from high labor areas to low labor areas. And that made globalization the in thing. COVID undid it all. And with COVID, there is now, I won't say a trend towards reversing globalization completely. That's never going to happen. But what will ensure is a hybrid model or a +1 model. The +1 model ensures that you are not dependent upon a country to have your goods source. You will A+++. A hybrid, wherever it is possible, will have front-end manufacturing or assembly in whichever location you have. Now, that's not going to be easy because the manufacturing infrastructure for many goods and services, or goods mainly, has been unwound over the years. So it's going to take time. So it will be, let me say as an example, a CKD in the automobile industry. You manufacture elsewhere, you bring it as CKD, assemble it. Assembling creates local jobs, whatever, few thousand in number. But it also creates an impetus to manufacturing. A root cause of all this is also over emphasis on regulations, over emphasis on climate control. Thereby, because the compliance costs have gone up, and therefore manufacturing becomes unviable, not to speak about the high cost of labor in many geographies, especially the Western geographies.
But here's my, if I were to say a counterpoint, we have to still be mindful of climate control, right?
We have to be. I'm not saying, what I said was overemphasis.
Okay.
The thing is to draw a fine line. If you think that the climate is going up by 1%, 2%, and that is within the tolerance limit, fine. Anything beyond that is a problem. There are also certain things that we can do to manage climate control without having to necessarily drive out industries. As an example, don't switch on an AC when you don't have to. Try and absorb a little heat in your body if you can. Don't use a shower, rather take a bucket and put water on your body. These are little things that you can to save Mother Nature. What is the problem in forestation on a large scale? States like Madhya Pradesh have done forestation on a large scale. Good green plants can bring down the temperature on Mother Earth. So it is perfectly possible to manage manufacturing and also save Mother Earth. They are not mutually exclusive.
Actually, that's true. That's true. Your journey has been truly diverse. Business leadership, economic policy, cultural insights of late. How do you connect the dots between these very seemingly different areas?
Actually, one cannot live without touching all these points. These points coexist. They are not, again, mutually exclusive. How do you do business if you cannot understand geopolitics? How does geopolitics not cater to the larger citizenry if it cannot understand business? How does business shape up well if it cannot understand the culture of the land in which it operates? Culture of the land is a DNA of its citizens.
Yeah.
How can you sell? How can you do business if you do not know the DNA? A DNA is a DNA. It cannot be changed overnight. And again, the question is, why would you want to change it? A DNA is a DNA. Let's live with it. So I think we have been taught to think in silos. We have been taught to think in terms of very niche core competence. Actually, a business manager, a political leader, a cultural ambassador must have a fair knowledge of all in order to have a wholesome solution.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. That's the true connection of dots. You've often spoken about the importance of sustainable agriculture, right? But now you tell me, beyond organic farming, what are the other innovative approaches do you see as game changers for future of Indian agriculture?
क्योंकि कृषि के बारे में बात कर रहे हो, मैं हिंदी में बात कर रहा हूं।
बिल्कुल।
ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग या जैविक फार्मिंग जो है वो तो हमें करना ही है। हम सदियों से करते आ रहे हैं। जब खाद हमारा गोबर से बनता था या कत मट्टी से बनता था, तब इतना स्केल नहीं था, व्यापक नहीं था कृषि, और जो स्थानीय नागरिक थे उनके लिए बना था। अब हमने इसको स्केल अप कर दिया है। तो स्केल अप करने के कारण हमें रासायनिक खाद यानी कि इनऑर्गेनिक फर्टिलाइजर या केमिकल फर्टिलाइजर का हमें उपयोग करना पड़ा। अब जब हम कर रहे हैं, स्वाभाविक है कि इसका असर तो मिट्टी पे पड़ेगा ही, और क्योंकि इसका असर मिट्टी पे पड़ेगा, इसीलिए मैं समझता हूं जैसे कोई भी कारोबारी होता है, मेरे ख्याल से कृषि भी एक कारोबार है। आप इसको व्यवसाय मत समझना, इसको व्यवसाय से उठाकर आपको इसको कारोबार बना पड़ेगा या उद्योग बनाना पड़ेगा। जब आप उसको उद्योग बनाओगे तब ही ये होगा। अब उद्योग बनाने के लिए क्या कोई भी कारोबारी एक ही उपज या एक ही प्रोडक्ट के साथ बाजार में आता है? ना, वो अनेक प्रोडक्ट लेके आता है। वैसे ही उसके पास अनेक ग्राहक भी चाहिए। आज हमारे किसानों के पास एक ही ग्राहक है, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया। या FCI, जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया, भारत सरकार का उपक्रम है, मैं तो समझता हूं कि जैसे आप फार्म या खेत से आप निकालते हो उपज को, आपको इसको प्रोडक्ट बना के, वस्तु बना के अल्टीमेट ग्राहक तक आपको लेके जाना चाहिए। इसीलिए मैं हमेशा कहता रहता हूं कि आपको MSP से MRP का सोचना पड़ेगा। क्योंकि जब आप MSP की बात करते हो तो आप उसको एक उपज बना के रखते हो, कमोडिटी बना के रखते हो, और कमोडिटी जो है उसका उतर चढ़ाव होता ही रहता है, क्योंकि बहुत ही सेंसिटिव है। मगर अगर आप उसको वस्तु बना सकते हो, वस्तु का एक ही रास्ता है ऊपर, जो बढ़ता रहता है उसका भाव, या श्रिंकफ्लेशन, वही भाव में कम आप बेचते हो। इसीलिए आज हमारे किसानों को उपज से उसको उठाकर उसको वस्तु बनाने के दिशा में जाना चाहिए। MSP to MRP, प्रोड्यूस टू प्रोडक्ट, ये हमें करना पड़ेगा। इसके अलावा आज किसानों को मल्टी क्रॉपिंग, मतलब एक ही खेत में अनेक तरह के वस्तु, या फिर कुक्कुट पालन, या फिर मत्स्य पालन, या पशुपालन, ये भी करने पड़ेंगे, ताकि आपको एक पूरा इंटीग्रेटेड अप्रोच आपको मिले। अगर हम ये करते हैं, और हो भी रहा है, अगर हम करते हैं, तो आप देखोगे कि किसानों का जो आय है, जो इनकम है, उसमें डेफिनेटली वृद्धि होगा, ये निश्चित है। तो ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग, मल्टी क्रॉपिंग, मल्टी प्रोडक्ट्स, मल्टी कस्टमर्स, जब हम इस तरह से सोचेंगे और कृषि को हम व्यवसाय से उठाकर उद्योग तक लेके जाएंगे, आप देखोगे कि किसान समृद्ध होगा। आज कृषि हमारा 18% है GDP का, इसको हम जरूर अवश्य बढ़ा सकते हैं।
ओके। Intersection of technology and agriculture, that's gaining momentum in a very big way. Do you see AI's role broadening in this?
The role of AI is encompassing. So we haven't even touched the scratch of the surface, right? There's much beyond. It is just evolving, and I think there is an applicability to it all. Okay. And why is that so? Because we as humans are not working as long as we should be working. We are trying to work less, and there's nothing wrong with that. So it's good to be thinking about life balances and all that. But there are sections of population who are working hard. The farmers also work hard, and many other people also work hard. But where there is shortage of human labor, it has to be filled up with something, and that is AI. That is, Internet of Things. So, for example, in the farm, you can have Internet of Things, as you have on the shop floor or the factory. So, therefore, the AI is expanding rapidly. It should. New models will come. New kind of data sets will come about. Data sets which is domain knowledge, and therefore it will become smarter, bigger, better.
I still see a gap in terms of whatever you just said, and in terms of the application of technology. The idea and the philosophy behind it to reach to the farmers, for them to understand this is important, that why technology is being harnessed. I think that gap is still there.
In my opinion, the farmers are realizing it faster than you and me think. So I see farmers using smartphones. I see them trying to track the mandi arrivals. They haven't begun to track what is the trend of soya beans in Brazil or Argentina. That has not happened, but that is happening. They are also getting educated. When you say farmers need to be educated, don't think of English as education.
No, absolutely not.
Right? Yeah. Have they expanded their agriculture knowledge? And I find a lot of them are expanding on the ground. So I have been on the ground in Madhya Pradesh as an example, and I've met farmers who are beginning to realize that they couldn't live without technology, simply because one of them told me, साहब जितने हमें खेत के लिए मजदूर चाहिए वो तो मिलते नहीं हैं। अच्छा, जब तक इंफॉर्मेशन हम मंडी से निकालते हैं बदल जाता है, तो स्मार्टफोन में देखने के सिवाय हमारे पास उपाय क्या है?
Right.
So they are taking to technology, and I think they are far more smarter than we all urban dwellers think.
Is there any personal experience you've had on the ground which you would love to share?
Oh yes, I will. I will tell you many things. I've got one farmer friend of mine who I talked to him about various schemes. साहब मैंने ये कर दिया, मैंने किसान क्रेडिट से पैसा ले लिया, मैंने एग्रीकल्चर सब्सिडी ले ली. ये सब तो छोड़ो, मेरे पास एक पोर्टफोलियो है शेयर्स का. आप उसको देख के मुझे बताइए उसमें क्या अच्छा है क्या बुरा है. और यही जो किसान है वो मुझसे कहता है कि मैंने कहा भाई तेरा कॉस्ट शीट तो मुझे दे दे, मैं तो देखूं कहाँ तू मुनाफा या नुकसान कर रहा है. तो उसने सब कुछ टटोला सब देखा और मुझे भेज दिया. और मैंने कहा भाई ये तो मजदूर तूने क्यों लगाया है, क्योंकि ये क्या तुम मजदूरों को लगाते हो क्या? नहीं, वो तो थोड़ा बहुत लगाता हूँ, मगर बाकी का जो है वो मेरी खुद की मेहनत अगर मैं करता तो कितना होता. So he's talking about opportunity cost of labor, and that's exactly what the Swaminathan formula says.
Yes.
अब ये सब कहने के बाद क्या आप कहोगे कि किसान प्रगति नहीं कर रहा है या उन्नति नहीं कर रहा है?
बिल्कुल प्रगति कर रहा है. एंड मेरा कंसर्न बस वही था कि सिटिंग इन आवर एयर कंडीशन रूम्स एंड एट लार्ज बोर्ड रूम्स वी डू ब्रिंग आउट पॉलिसीज, बट दे हैव टू बी रूटेड इन व्हाट दे वांट. उनको अदरवाइज there will always be a gap.
देखिए ये हमेशा तो ये तो नैरेटिव रहेगी ही कि हमारा सुनाया नहीं जा रहा है या इसी में जो बैठे उनको पता नहीं है. मगर आज के सरकार जो है वो सिर्फ एसी में बैठ के नहीं करता, वो भी सर्वे करती है. उन्होंने फील्ड ऑफिसर से इंफॉर्मेशन निकाला है, लोकल एग्रीकल्चरल जो सेंटर्स है, एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन, वहां से डेटा उठाया जा रहा है और ये सभी डेटा का ट्रायंगुलेशन किया जा रहा है ताकि आप एक चित्र उभर कर आए. तो ऐसे ही नहीं है कि हवा में स्टैटिस्टिक्स डाला जाता है या नीतियां बनाई जाती है. इट इज बोथ टॉप ड्रिवन एंड बॉटम्स अप, एंड आई कैन से दैट फॉर श्योर.
Let's come to a very important aspect, because as I'm having this conversation with you, newer thoughts are coming to my mind. So let me first hit this part of it, which is you've highlighted the benefits of multilingualism.
Okay.
I think at different forums. How has your personal experience of learning and different languages shaped your global perspective?
I think it has vastly expanded my vision. Okay? It has helped me to understand what the others are saying. और मैं हमेशा कहता हूं कि जब आप उनके भाषा में उनसे बात करते हो तो एक कनेक्शन बन जाता है, एक लगाव बन जाता है और जो दूरियां हैं वो मिटने लगती हैं. तो इसीलिए मैं समझता हूं कि भाषा को समझना बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है. इट्स वेरी 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 इंपॉर्टेंट, एंड नॉट जस्ट इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस. इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस को आपको सीखना चाहिए. मैं कभी कभी समझता हूं कि तमिलनाडु का एक नागरिक कर्नाटका के एक नागरिक से अंग्रेजी में क्यों बात करता है. इट इज लाइक यूजिंग ISD फॉर local call. Right?
Yes.
So
absolutely.
We should know how to converse between at least the neighboring states.
Absolutely.
और क्या आप एक दूसरे प्रांत के भाषा सीखने के कारण will it mean that you are reducing your mother tongue's value? No. They are mutually exclusive. It's not a zero-sum game. So definitely one and finally, knowing other languages helps you to reach those markets and understand it better.
Okay, so let me follow it up with in one of your articles on cultural unity and linguistic diversity.
Yeah.
You've argued that diversity is a strength.
Yeah.
We live in pretty much a polarized world.
Yeah.
How can you reinforce this idea, or how can we reinforce this idea?
Whether it is language or whether it is anything else, the underpinning connection is your culture. You see, all the states of India, the culture is not vastly different. The basic culture is, I love my faith. I respect your faith. I want to live. I want you to live. It's unlike the West, where it is survival of the fittest. And this is something that Devendra ji said, and that's why I'm recalling it. it is not survival of the fittest. It is the right to live for all. And therefore, the underlying culture of this great country is that our strength of unity comes from our culture. Our strength of unity comes from our thoughts. Our strength of culture comes from the fact that we respect others' thoughts. Ekam sat vipraha bahupadanti. That's our thought. And from that perspective, we are able to tolerate diversity.
Okay.
Diversity for us is only another product from the same assembly line.
I think for me, another definition of diversity is also diversity of voices, where we
Sure.
allow all voices to thrive.
Isn't that the bedrock of democracy?
Yes, it is.
And this
It
is
is.
what our culture has taught us for long. We had Janapad even 10,000 years ago. Actually, we are the oldest democracy.
Yes. Yes, it is.
We had Janapads 10,000 years ago. Our kings were kings, no doubt, but they had to listen to everybody.
Yeah.
One even went to the forest. Right?
Getting back to economics, the gig economy is booming and thriving. Do you see a future where traditional employment is completely disrupted?
It is very hard to say, but I think anybody who adapts themselves to the situation will find themselves in employment. Those who do not will have to do other things. It's quite possible that traditional employment may go away and you will become an entrepreneur of a different sort. Yatha Shakti, Tatha Bhavaha. Right? True. So each according to their skill may become that. And a gig worker in turn could also be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
They may not be employed anywhere. Their job is to deliver something and they get a fee.
And I think personally, I feel that if we make sure that their rights are protected, or there is a more structured form of gig employees in terms of, maybe the basics are taken care of. It's not easy to just simply pick them and throw them out. I think we would have, this would work as a great model, don't you
And
think so?
in fact, the labor laws around it are getting framed as we speak.
Wonderful.
So that they have the social benefits to do that. There is also a proposal where the social benefits will be monitored and taken care by the government. It's not that the individual employer has to do.
Yeah.
For example, Labor Welfare Board, right? It's not the ultimate employer who does that. He just pays money and from there it goes to the individual labor. So those kind of models are also being thought of to take. So I think the clear trend and the goal is to ensure medical services for all, universal medical services, universal education, universal social welfare. This is happening within the government. It's a matter of time before they come. That being said, let me tell you that Indian business class or the karobaris have never been the hire and the fire guys. That's not our style. Hire and fire is a Western concept. In fact, if you go back in times, the workers were always a part of the family. जो मुनीम जी था उनका बेटी का शादी में सेठ अपने पैसे देते थे, वर भी ढूंढ के देते थे. There is always a social net there. Yeah. We have not realized all these things. Most of the philanthropy was done by the business class and the kings. तो इसीलिए आप कहते हो ना हर किस्म सेठ अस्पताल किसने किया है ये वही कारोबारी ने अपना चैरिटी उन्होंने किया है. तो हमारे डीएनए में है. मैं कहता हूं हम अब दुनिया को आप कंपेयर करो, हम अनोखे हैं.
True. Let me get the policy.
और ये ना मैं 30 देशों में जाके घूम के और कुछ में रहने के बाद मैं कह रहा हूँ. ये मेरी कल्पना नहीं है ये.
हाँ. So everybody is talking about India being the next global powerhouse. Huh? I wouldn't call you a policy hawk, but as a policy strategist, what policy shifts do you see is required at this point in time to turn this vision into reality? क्योंकि हम लोग कहते रहते हैं कि India is growing, India is moving in the right direction, but I think अभी भी बहुत सारे challenges हैं. We still need to move there.
है ना?
हाँ.
पहला मैं एक चीज बता दूं. India is not becoming a powerhouse. It is trying to regain its powerhouse status. Zero BCE, we were 49% of world
GDP. Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
From there, kept on dipping the Mughal, then the British, and then finally in 1947, we were less than 1%. Right? From there, we have grown 3-4 times now.
Right.
We still have to reach 49%. And we have to do a lot of things to reach the 49%. In a way, we will reach somewhat thereabouts because the other parts of the world are not growing that strongly. So it's little like the Three Idiots film, where you say, I'm growing because the other one is not growing, or the guy says that मैं पढ़ूंगा दूसरे पढ़ नहीं रहे इसीलिए मैं आगे जाऊंगा. That kind of stuff. So we are regrowing or we are rejuvenating. So I think that's the first thing. Having said that, we came from an era of socialist controls, jahan a lot of things were in scarcity, and we had socialist models. We had public sector in everything. We had a control Raj. All those obstacles are slowly getting unbound. Many criminal acts are getting decriminalized across various legislations. The focus is on efficiency of doing business. The focus is on performance of the government. और performance को जताया जाता है बिल्कुल scorecard के तरह. So the focus is on unwinding restrictions, building efficiencies, making it easy to do business. पहला बार 75 सालों में कारोबार करना गुनाह नहीं है. ये हम एहसास कर रहे हैं. So I think and munafa karna, making a profit is not illegal, right?
Absolutely.
We had lost the difference between profiteering and profiting or making profits.
We speak about India being the next global powerhouse. Absolutely. We are also seeing around the world protectionism in trade. Do you feel this is a short-term temporary phase, or do you think that there's going to be a long-term shift?
First thing, what percentage of your GDP is exports? 800 million out of 3.4 billion. We are reaching 4 trillion. Sorry, we are reaching 4 trillion. So about 20%. 80% is still our own consumption. Does that answer the question? Okay, yes, there will be tariff wars. There is bound to be. Because whoever is imposing tariffs is finding that this is financially unfeasible to go forward if it runs like this. And therefore, some amount of reinventing is happening there. In fact, I often say that making America great again is one part. Making America a nation again is the other. It's MAGA plus MANA, which is Magna. Right? So these things are happening everywhere across the world. Europe is also finding itself. But as long as you have a market, you have consumption, you have everything happening. This country has a 30% savings rate. So your GDP is like 4 trillion. You can save 30%. Right? At least theoretically. You have enough people who save and invest in this country because we have the ability to invest. We have that mindset. We have been benevolent capitalists for long. Right? So we can do. Do we need FDI? We do. Do we need FPI? We do. But we don't have to do all the song and dances to get FDI plus FPI. Because we have equal, every time an FPI sells in this country, and a DFI buys.
Okay, we've spoken about India's being in a global space. We've spoken about tariffs. We've spoken about some of. I have another interesting question for you because you have been emphasizing about leadership skills in uncertain times. Uh, what's that one leadership quality that stands the test of time?
Integrity.
Do you see that happening if you to look at the global space today? Do you feel India is in a position to actually fill that void and be that global leader?
Yes, India has the ability to walk the talk.
Hmm.
And when you walk the talk and
Hmm.
you mean what you say and say what you mean, you're naturally looked upon, right? And therefore, it is I always say it is neither the private sector that is the best. As an example, I'm deviating a little bit, nor the public sector that is the best. What ultimately matters is integrity and leadership of both these organizations. If you have good leadership, anything will work. As long as you have integrity, anything will work. You must have integrity of thought, integrity of purpose, and integrity of action.
Okay. I'm going to take a slight detour here because we speak about leadership, and to a large extent, it comes through education and mentoring, which is something which is very close to your heart. What is that one lesson which you always share with a young mind?
I always tell the young minds that work hard when you're young. Be an ant when you're young. Being a grasshopper when you're young is, in my opinion, not the right thing to do. You can be a grasshopper for a few hours of your life, but a majority of the day you have to be an ant that is hardworking. Have passion for what you do. Have integrity in what you do. And always think 20 years, 30 years down the line. And mind you, there are no shortcuts to success. And more important, be appreciative of your family. Being a lone wolf is not a great idea. You need your familial support. You need your community support. Take part in your community activities. And more importantly, treat the nation as your first priority. Rashtra Pratham. The reason I'm telling you this is Bharat is a great brand today and going times in the future. Be with the brand.
I think in many ways, my return to India is also the very same.
So is mine.
Yes. I think we connect at that level. I'm going to ask you, I hope this doesn't put you in a spot, but because I know that you speak your heart out. Today, if you were advising the Indian government on economic policy, what is that one first major reform which you would push for? Because the reality of the matter is that I think globally, yes, there are challenges, but even in India, we still have issues around employment. I think that job opportunities. So, and I think that's very important. What would be your first?
Why should we talk about the government? When you have four fingers like this and three are like this, and that being the government, the three point out to you. Can the government provide employment for all?
No.
Is it even theoretically possible?
No, it's not.
Maybe not. Can the government help all businesses? Maybe not. There are certain things that we can do ourselves, and we should focus upon how we improve ourselves. Yes, there are a lot of things to be done for the government, like ease of doing business, increasing the education footprint, increasing the mobility footprint. It is happening. Is it happening at the desired pace you want? Maybe not. We are a democratic country. You try to lay a road, there are thousands of PIL that's coming in. So why? So if the PILs were not there, could we have done the job faster? We would. So there are too many people who are going for and against, and that's kind of retarding our progress. So I'm saying the government can still do many more things, and I can see it being done. So I take comfort from the fact that is my government in inaction? No. Is my government in action? Yes. Is it doing enough to do? I said, I think it is doing enough. Can it do more? Yes, it can do more. I mean, you see the number of airports. You look at the number of integrated transportation systems. You see the number of roads. So it is happening, and I think the government is in the right direction when it says, "Let me ease your life, ease of living, ease of doing business." These things are happening. Now there are still a few unconnected dots. Like maybe everybody is not in sync. All these people, when they get to sync together, you will see the power that is unleashed.
We did speak about this earlier as we started the conversation. There is an increasing focus on sustainable business practices. And for whatever, and in my conversations with several leaders, the answer has always been that the challenge has been how do we balance profitability with sustainability. To my mind, I think that's an absolute possibility.
It is possible.
I need your thoughts on that, and if you could share some examples.
So first, being mindful, mindful of what you do. So we have in our country that 2% of the profits have to be channelized towards CSR. There were some abuses that were happening in the name of CSR, but all those are now they're coming down and they're getting better. Earlier, there used to be leakage of a lot of tax revenues. I'm not saying that the tax revenue leakage has become zero, but it has become difficult to, to evade taxes anymore. So if you look at it, I think things are getting much better, is what I would say.
Okay.
And therefore, coming back, I forgot to say that we have to be mindful of what we do. I mean, can we plant some few trees? Each tree just cost about 45 to 100 rupees. Can we not throw garbage on the street? We can afford. I mean, after Swachh Bharat campaign, I can see that kind of mentality has come in. People randomly don't throw. Can we stop spitting on the street? We can. So at every level, if each one of us is mindful of what we do, Prakriti and Purush can live together.
Absolutely. It just reminds me of President Kennedy's line, isn't it? Ask not what
exactly
the country can.
I like that line. Yeah. Fantastic. It's so beautiful.
I think as we are all together in the call to action for Viksit Bharat, one of the things which really appeals to me the most is we are going back to our culture. Right? And there is a newfound enthusiasm, excitement in our ancient wisdom and our knowledge. Do you truly believe that traditional knowledge systems offer solutions to some of the most untapped, some of the most difficult problems?
What is our history? Anywhere between 6,000 to 10,000 years.
Yes.
How many ancient texts do we have? I read about 45 lakh texts. Out of the 45 lakh texts, how many are religious, really religious? Very few of them. Most of them are on sculpture, on medicine, on Nyaya Shastra, which is justice, on Gyan Vigyan. So you have such varied, and even on sex education, you have even a text for that.
Yeah.
It's so well codified, and it has run for an empirical period of 6 to 10,000 years. It has seen the humanity. Does it mean that it is the best? No. Is it adaptive? It is. It keeps the only thing constant about our ancient knowledge systems is it is nirantar and pragatashil. It has adapted itself. It is never dogmatic. Dogmatism is the mind. Dogmatism is not the culture.
I think one of the things which I have noticed this is the way we are growing. This growth over the past 7, 8, 9 years, which I'm seeing, is that there is a last mile delivery which is actually
Absolutely
happening.
It is.
We are not growing from the top.
Yep.
There is an inclusivity in some form happening.
Yeah. I'm happy you asked me this question.
Yeah. Agriculture and food security, critical global issues. Do you see policy interventions can make a difference?
It can.
Okay.
It can. Why? Because the government is still the biggest customer.
Yeah.
The government is still the biggest source of inputs.
Yeah.
Supplier भी एक, ग्राहक भी एक. इसीलिए the government can do. Is the government doing to dilute itself? It is doing. It is encouraging many more participants in the agriculture system. And क्योंकि मैं कृषि मंत्रालय के मतलब कमिटियों में रहा, मुझे उनकी सोच पता है. They are trying to include many more people within the ecosystem. इसीलिए आप इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मंडी देख रहे हो, आप मंडी में नए परिवर्तन आप देख रहे हो, आप फार्म टू फोक देख रहे हो. You are seeing so many changes that are happening. And more important is they have very clearly realized that you can do anything that you want, but until you reach the last man there, the Antyodaya,
yes,
right? The concept of Antyodaya, you are not successful. And I will give you a practical example. I have a friend of mine in Kashmir, and he tells me over the period of time in Kashmir, जहाँ पे गधों के ऊपर, meaning donkeys के ऊपर सेब डाल के वो मंडी तक आते थे, वहां आज का स्थिति यह है कि हर गांव में कोई ना कोई सड़क है और सड़क में एस ट्रक जाता है. तो ऑब्वियसली द एस ट्रक इज फार मोर एफिशिएंट देन द गदाना.
I think
that is an example of last mile. DBT is another example of last mile. किसी के हाथ में पैसा जाता था और वो चाहे उसको जो मन चाहा वो पैसा देता था. डीबीटी ने उसको एलिमिनेट कर दिया. फार्म टू फोक ने लास्ट माइल क्रिएट कर दिया. अनेक मार्ग और महामार्गों ने और छोटे छोटे रस्तों ने लास्ट माइल क्रिएट कर दिया. ब्रॉडबैंड का जो पेनिट्रेशन है लास्ट माइल क्रिएट कर दिया.
Yeah, and I think
Jandan account last mile create kar diya.
Absolutely, and I think also India is the true living example of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The way we have been connecting, and the biggest example is the vaccine we delivered to countries.
Absolutely.
Which, there was a time when the world would look down upon India, and where we are today. I think that policy shift is happening.
We have done wheat diplomacy.
Yes.
We have done rice diplomacy.
Yes. Coming back to India's cultural and linguistic diversity, do you see a risk of homogenization due to globalization?
No, I don't see. I don't see. In fact, globalization itself will come into its new form called hybridization. Which is local plus global or global. So I call it global.
Okay, that's an interesting perspective. Viksit Bharat 2047. Everybody seemed to be excited about it. A lot of people seem to be looking at it as some kind of a milestone or target, but that's not what it is. I think Viksit Bharat, when our Honorable Prime Minister says that, what he's trying to say is that, to me at least, that Vikas has to happen in each and every individual as citizens. How we improve ourselves, how we work together, how we build together as a community. I really want your take on this, because I think you define beautifully what a model Indian citizen should be, at least based on my interactions.
So I believe that we have got to be self-driven, self-thinking, responsible, active, and proactive in whatever we do. And we should sync with what is happening in our country, because it's good for all of us. Therefore, we have to be aligned with the vision of our country. And when I say we have to be aligned with the vision of the country, I am not saying we have to be aligned with the vision of our government or this political party or that political party. What is good for all of us?
Yes.
What in law you call as in rem, right? That is what we should do while we are doing all our little things for our own needs. We have to do something that works well for the country. मतलब स्वार्थ में भी एक निस्वार्थ, और स्वार्थ में एक परार्थ. Whatever you say, I mean, we have to do whatever we do. It has to be in alignment with our country. Don't do anything that hurts your country, because by doing something that hurts your country, you're hurting your neighbor. You're hurting the guys on the next street. You're hurting the guys in the next province. You're hurting people thousands of kilometers away. Don't abuse your country when you're abroad. As simple as that.
This may not be directly linked or not, but I know that you feel passionately about it. I think there is a lot of noise around us, a lot of them. And without really getting into greater details, how does one, let me take it with you. How are you able to detach yourself from all of these noises and focus completely on, this is my country, this is my family, this is my community,
and this is my world.
And this is my world. How do you stay focused on that? Because you open a television, you open anything. I'm appalled at some of these things which goes on. I understand that there is this thought process where people say that our government is doing some extraordinary work, but the communication is not happening. There is something missing there. So how do you connect these two?
अगर सरकार कुछ कह रही है, आप सुन रहे हो? आप क्यों कहते हो कि सरकार कह नहीं रही है? क्या आप सुन रहे हो? आपको सुनने में क्या अच्छा लगता है? डीजे का गाना सुनने में अच्छा लगता है कि जो न्यूज कास्टर जो कर रहा है वो सुनना अच्छा लगता है? सरकार भी कम्युनिकेट कर रही है, अगर आप देखते ही नहीं हो, सरकार के वेबसाइट पे जाइएगा, 1000 समाचार मिलते हैं. सरकार की पूरा डेटा उन्होंने ऑनलाइन कर दिया है. जब आप हमेशा कहते हो सरकार सुन नहीं रही, क्या आप सुन रहे हो? क्या बिल्कुल पहले अपने आप को टटोलो ना, अपने आप को पहला सोचो हम क्या कर रहे हैं. सो इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू से दैट द सरकार इज नॉट कम्युनिकेटिंग, द सरकार इज कम्युनिकेटिंग. शासन कम्युनिकेट कर रहा है, संपर्क कर रहा है, आपको भी सुनना है, तब आपको सुनाई देगा. संवाद is when both of them talk to each other, or both of them happen to listen to each other. Darshan is when two people see each other.
Awesome. We get into the rapid fire round.
And, MCQ.
Yes. No. It's not MCQ. So we begin with the first question on the rapid fire round. One book that changed your perspective.
Actually, many.
If there's one that actually...
I don't have one. One written by Dr. S. Jaishankar changed my way about how diplomacy is happening. That we are not passively diplomatic. There's a book written by my former boss, Failure is a Knock on the Door of Success. Another great book. I have read Veer Savarkar's book. I find that very motivating. So there are numerous books, and I can't say that just one changed my life. But certainly there's a lot of information out there. There's information about the real history, not the history that you and me were taught. One has to read that. There are books written by Atal Bihari Vajpayee. We have to read that. There are books written by our Honorable Prime Minister. We have to read that. There are books written by people in the opposition. We have to read that. You can read everything, but triangulate it and form your own view.
If you could have dinner with one historical figure, who would it be?
Ramachandra Guha.
Okay.
Because I think we need to have a hard conversation with him.
An interesting person.
I mean, you would have thought somebody else, right?
No, I'm
देखो जिससे संवाद करना है ना, उससे ही संवाद करना है.
बिल्कुल चाहिए, सही.
जो भटका हुआ है उसके साथ संवाद करना है. हाँ. जो सही है उससे क्या संवाद करोगे? वो तो मतलब वो सक्षम है ना.
हाँ, सही बात है.
हाँ, सही बात. इनको बदलना है. तो ये देखो इनके साथ काम करो.
और मुझे लगता है कि सचमुच हवा बदल रही है.
हाँ, तो उनको भी बदलना चाहिए या कम से कम.
A habit that you swear by.
Being true.
What is your go-to productivity hack?
Calendar.
What is that one big misconception which people have about economics?
That you cannot understand it. इसीलिए मैं सरल इकोनॉमिक्स की बात करता हूँ.
बिल्कुल सही बात है, बहुत जरूरी है ये.
और आपने मेरे वीडियो में भी देखा होगा, जो कॉम्प्लिकेटेड लगता है ना, उसको एकदम सरल भाषा में बिना जार्गन के एक उदाहरण के तौर पर उसके बारे में बातें करना मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा.
हाँ, आपने इस छोटे से संवाद के थ्रू मेरे प्रोड्यूसर को और उकसा दिया है, और वो मुझे उकसाएगा उसके बाद. वो मुझे हमेशा कहता है कि आप कोशिश करिए कि सिंपल वर्ड्स यूज करिए और जितना हो सके हिंदी में बोलिए. और आज आपने वो ट्रिगर कर दिया फिर से. अ स्टार्टअप आइडिया,
क्योंकि 60 करोड़ देशवासी इस देश में हिंदी बोलते हैं.
बिल्कुल सही कहा.
अगर उनसे संवाद करना है, हाँ, तो उनकी भाषा में आपको संवाद करना.
समझ गए प्रभु.
कारोबारी भी हो ना.
A startup idea you wish someone would build.
Why should someone build? Why can't I build?
No, you've already built, but if you were to sit here and think, काश यार ये आइडिया कोई तो यूज किया होता.
Something that betters the life of people.
Okay.
It's not one thing. Like, can somebody do to deliver water better? Can somebody do to, for example, खेत में जब आप हार्वेस्ट के बाद आप वहाँ ऊपर, the residue gets there. उस पर अगर कोई काम करे और कर भी रहे लोग, और उसको ईंधन के रूप में किया जाए या फिर उससे ब्रिकेट्स बनाया जाए ताकि लोग उसको न जलाए.
For me personally, Shesh, is that I think maybe I come from a family of educators and academicians. I personally feel that any idea that ensures that true and real education reaches to the last mile. I think when we become informed and educated, we become empowered. And many of the challenges...
And I think only our Gurukuls can do that.
Yes, and that is what I was coming to. I think that is where...
you know something about Gurukuls, and let me tell this for the benefit of your audience. आज अमेरिकन स्कूल्स कहते हैं हमारे कक्षा में सिर्फ 10 बच्चे हैं या 20 बच्चे हैं, और एक बच्चे के मति अनुसार, यानी अकॉर्डिंग टू देयर इंटेलेक्ट, वी चेंज देयर कोर्सेज एंड वी गिव क्रेडिट्स फॉर देम. क्या हमारे गुरुकुल में ये नहीं किया जाता था?
एब्सोल्युटली.
एक गुरुकुल में अनेक वर्ण से लोग बच्चे रहते थे, और हर एक बच्चे के मति अनुसार, अकॉर्डिंग टू द इंटेलेक्ट, the curriculum used to change by the guru used to change the curriculum. The learning course for everybody was different. Experiential learning was already there. हमने क्यों खोया?
Yes.
मैक्यूले ने आके बदल दिया, मगर हम बदले क्यों? हमें विदेशी चीजों से इतना मोहब्बत क्यों है?
It's an interesting
मेरे
perspective.
बदन कांपती है जब मैं कहता हूं कि हमें विदेशी चीजों से बहुत मोहब्बत होता है, वहां सब कुछ ठीक है.
But I think अब वो बदल रहा है
Of
धीरे
course,
धीरे.
it is. And fortunately, the visa restrictions in Canada, the visa restrictions in United States is making it happen even faster.
Yeah. We have a lot of other external factors to thank.
Yeah, can we not have great universities in our
Yes.
country? Of course we do.
I still remember.
And we can.
Yeah, I still remember when I returned back home, and because of my father's health, and when he passed away, I was planning to move back after the war. And my Amma's words were beautiful. She said, "You left India, you have returned to Bharat,"
Correct.
and that still reverberates in my
मैंने
ears.
जब मीडिया से बात करने लगा
Hmm.
तो मैंने हमेशा कहा कि मुझे इंडिया से संवाद नहीं करना है. बहुत सारे पंडित इंडिया से बात कर रहे हैं, मुझे भारत से संवाद करना है.
Absolutely.
And
बिल्कुल
that
सही.
is happening as we speak. And I also want to tell all the parents who have their children in the age of 14, 15, 16, आज आप मईलापुर से मैनहट्टन नहीं जा सकते हो. वो एस्केप रूट बंद हो चुका है या बंद हो रहा है. इस देश में रहकर आप क्या कर सकते हो, अपने आप को प्रगतिशील कैसे कर सकते हो, हाउ कैन यू इम्प्रूव योरसेल्फ, हाउ कैन यू सर्वाइव विद इन दिस एनवायरनमेंट व्हिच इज द फ्यूचर ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. लेट्स रीवायर आवरसेल्व्स टू दिस थॉट.
What is that one thing which you always carry with you?
Gita. Because I'll tell you what, take out Lord Krishna's photograph, take out Arjuna's photograph, let it be a plain book, okay, and start reading it. To me, it is a book of humanity. Read our constitution. That's a book I would like to carry. And much like others who show that, I actually read. It's a beautiful, well-written constitution.
What's the best piece of advice that you have received?
लगे रहो.
सही बात है.
मैंने मुन्ना भाई नहीं कहा.
One word that defines you.
राष्ट्रप्रथम. In other words, अंग अंग में प्राण और देह पूरा राष्ट्र.
क्या बात है. Well, on that note, thank you so much for your time on this micro podcast. This is a very special episode for me. I cannot wait to make the full-fledged podcast happen, because to me, you are the Renaissance man. And I always say this at the end of my episode, and sometimes people tell me, why do you say it? But I keep repeating this, that we all tell stories. But the most important story is the one we tell ourselves. And how we tell those stories shapes and defines who we become. And I think, Shesh, you tell your story in the most beautiful way.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your
मैं
time.
आपको और आपके दर्शकों को मेरा हार्दिक आभार व्यक्त करना चाहता हूं. मैं जानता हूं एक माइक्रो पॉडकास्ट होने के कारण फिर भी ये 30-35 मिनट का वीडियो होगा, और आज के काल में हमें 3 मिनट के ऊपर हम सुन नहीं सकते, इसीलिए कम से कम यहाँ जो संवाद हुआ है थोड़ा 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 करके पूरा सुनिएगा.
बिल्कुल. Absolutely. So that's it for this episode of Micro Podcast with Shesh. As I said, he's a Renaissance man. His deep interest in technology, geopolitics, but most important, his love for Bharat, I think stands out. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and be curious.
Vande Mataram.
Vande Mataram. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Between Us podcast. The producer is Santosh Kumar, and the associate producer is Samyak Kamble. The Between Us podcast uploads episodes weekly, and we'll see you next time.